Hello there, people of the internet. So, I'm gonna go ahead and give my opinion about the concept of a DMR, a designated marksman, or designated marksman, not necessarily the designated marksman's rifle, a designated marksman in a civilian context here in the United States, because I've had a lot of people talk about it, and people seem to really like the concept, but realistically, as far as a practical application goes, I don't think that there is going to be much of a need for a designated marksman as a civilian. Now, if it does get to the point to where things are so bad, here, at least here in the United States, if it gets to the point to where things are so bad that we decide to ourselves that we have to incorporate a designated marksman into whatever it is that we're doing, then things have gone really wrong. But the concept is an interesting one, and I figured I'd go ahead, toss my hat in the ring, and make 2 cents about it because I have seen this topic pop up quite a few times. Now, all that being said, I am not a professional soldier. I am not a designated marksman. There are people out there that are way more qualified than myself, but like I said, I'm still gonna toss my hat in the ring and talk about at least the concept behind a designated marksman as a United States citizen. So during good times, where the biggest thing we might have to worry about is like a home invasion, or maybe some gang member activity, or some sort of situation that is not like a professional military force invading, in which case that would be like, hey, everybody get ready, because there's something coming if they manage to hit our mainland. But in good times, where the biggest thing that we might have to worry about is a particular individual or situation, which is a one-time event and not a mass ongoing event, then the likelihood of us needing a designated marksman or a designated marksman's rifle is extraordinarily low, simply because, oh, where is it? The general purpose rifle, that's more of a range toy right there. The general purpose rifle will oftentimes be far adequate enough to be able to handle most of what most people would come across. This right here is a AR in 5.56, 16-inch barrel. It's got a magnifier, it's got a red dot, it's got backup iron sights on it, it's got a sling. I mean, it's a 1 in 9 twist barrel. It's pretty effective with the 55 grain bullets that are run through it. This right here is a good general purpose rifle to be able to do most things that most people would need a rifle to do. And if I find myself in a situation where I cannot handle whatever it is I have to handle with this rifle, then I'm willing to bet it is a really unusual situation, like a one-off, one-of-a-kind, once-in-a-lifetime situation as a United States civilian. If you're a professional soldier overseas, then the things that you go through are going to be far different than the things that civilians go through. People like that go through terrible experiences to make sure that people like me and you don't have to. So they definitely are far more experienced on this topic, I'm sure. But if things do go bad enough to the point to where having a designated marksman would be beneficial, which again, even if things go really wrong, I absolutely foresee that most situations, like even if things are really bad, most situations would probably still take place within shouting distance, I would assume. And that shouting distance is definitely going to be well within the general purpose rifles area of influence. I'm trying to pick my terminology here really carefully because YouTube does not like topics like this. So many times people, if they are deciding that they're the designated marksman, they'll go out and they'll pick a rifle like this. This right here is a battle rifle in 308. I mean, I don't care if you want to go with a G3 style of rifle, or a SETME, or an FAL, or an M1A, or an M1 Grand like what I got up there. Most people are probably going to go with some kind of semi-auto battle rifle style of rifle, and more often than not, they're going to be running like M80 ball ammunition or something along those lines, just the cheapo full metal jacket stuff, because that's what a lot of people are able to stockpile. Otherwise, they might be running like some hunting soft points or something like that, but the likelihood of them running match grade ammunition is extraordinarily low. They might have some, but I'm willing to bet that their stockpile that they're going to be repeatedly running to for whatever purposes is probably going to be some of your cheaper stuff, and that's fine. That's very common. I have a stockpile of really good ammo, and then I have a much larger stockpile of just the cheapest stuff that I can find. And then I have my stockpile of things that I've made at home, but we're not going to get into that. So most people would flock towards a battle rifle like that, but the issue with a battle rifle like that is way more often than not their standard of accuracy is like a 4 MOA standard of accuracy. So even though your cartridge that you're firing has the power to go at longer distances than say a 5.56 can, the likelihood of you hitting your target with a relatively inaccurate rifle like most of your semi-auto battle rifles is going to be much smaller at farther distances. If you're a DMR guy, then you're going to be touching out to 700, 800, 900 yards, potentially even 1,000. Beyond 1,000, I'd say that's more sniper territory than DMR territory, but within that realm of those distances, your cone of fire is going to be significantly higher than a DMR rifle probably should have. So a lot of people would probably flock to some sort of bolt-action rifle. I know in this community I've had a lot of people say that these old-school milsurps are good for shooting at really long ranges in comparison to 5.56. Well, you run into the same issue. You got a nice powerful cartridge, but most of these rifles are a 4 MOA accuracy, especially if you have one that's like old and worn out. Like this particular rifle, it's got a date on it. 1943. By God, this thing's over 80 years old at this point. And it's fired just a tremendous amount of corrosive ammunition. The bore on it is not fantastic. I've started shooting black powder ammo through this, which I'm sure is probably not the best on the bore, but you know, it is what it is. I keep it clean, it'll be fine. There's no rust on that thing. But my point is, these really, really old guns, like these old military surplus guns, they do have that same issue with inaccuracy, especially at longer distances. I would say if you decide that you're going to do the DMR roll, and I would not recommend that unless we find ourselves in a very precarious situation where the DMR roll is absolutely essential, because like I said, most situations could probably be solved within like the general purpose fighting rifle distances. But if you do decide to go with the DMR roll, I would recommend getting yourself some sort of new production rifle in whatever caliber it is that you want. I know a lot of people, they like to pick the 6.5 Creedmoor because it's a really good one. And a lot of people go with 308 because of barrel life and availability of ammo and low cost ammo and whatnot. But whatever it is that you decide to go with, you got to make sure that it's accurate. I'd say a 1 MOA standard of accuracy is a very, very typical common standard of accuracy by today's standards. There's a lot of rifles out there that can even do better, and you got to make sure that you're a good enough shot to be able to make this happen. Like me, myself, I can't see at 100 yards. Like, beyond 100 yards, unless I'm looking through some sort of magnifier, I just can't see. I would make a terrible designated marksman. I'm a really good shot. I will say that. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I am a pretty decent shot, but that's whenever I can see my target. And my inability to see at long distances means that if I can't see my target, I can't hit my target, even if I'm looking through a scope. It just doesn't work well. Anyone else who wears glasses and can't really see knows that it just doesn't work very well. So there are instances where your limitations, like your physical body limitations, might stop you from doing the DMR roll. But maybe in the event that you find yourself where you find that roll to be essential, then I'd say maybe find somebody else to do that DMR roll. Just make sure that whatever it is that you're rocking is going to be accurate enough and the shooter is capable enough to be able to make those long distance shots that are beyond the realms of what your general purpose rifle can handle. Now, all of that being said, there's a couple of other things to take into consideration. If things get so bad to the point to where we have to branch off in squads in hopes of survival, then there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. I think it's the United States Marines who really emphasize suppressive fire to the point to where they have a saying. If you... How did that saying go? if you provide suppressive fire without movement, it's a waste of ammunition. But if you move without providing suppressive fire, it's suicide. I don't think that's quite how that saying goes, but it's somewhere along those lines. And what that means is at some point you're going to have to be providing suppressive fire to keep whoever's head down that you're shooting at. This way you can maneuver around them, and that is one of the general concepts for modern day tactics. This is a little beyond the scope of the video. But the idea is to keep their head down so you can maneuver to a better position to where you can take that enemy out. And that's one of the reasons why oftentimes whoever has the most ammunition that can be able to hit at the distances that those engagements are taking place at, again, way more often than not, well within the realms of the general purpose rifle, whoever has the most ammunition oftentimes comes out on top, because that is who can keep whose head down the longest. Well, as a DMR guy, you are not a sniper. You are going to be one of the squad among the squad, and you are going to be oftentimes taking part in some of these situations where the distances that you're going to be shooting at are within the realms of that general purpose rifle. And so you're going to be more or less doing the same job as whoever is using their general purpose rifle. So you're going to be doing that same job, providing suppressive fire to be able to maneuver around whatever target it is that you're shooting at. And if you have a full power rifle, that means you're going to have less ammunition. That's going to make you less of an asset, especially whenever you run out of that ammunition. The only time where a designated marksman really shines is whenever he has to take those long distance shots. And the likelihood of that happening, especially in a civilian context, is so extraordinarily low that I don't think that it's really worth bothering with. I would definitely recommend having the skills to be able to shoot at these long distances and knowing how to do it, but if your entire goal, if your entire mindset is to be the designated marksman, I would definitely recommend learning more general purpose skills versus just the designated marksman skills. I think if you've already got other skills, then by all means you're doing fine. If you're a mechanic or a farmer, you know how to make your own gunpowder and ammunition like I do, or insert your choice of other skill here to where you're not just the designated marksman, which is a really, the situation that would call for a designated marksman would probably be extraordinarily low in comparison to the situation that would just call for a general purpose rifle or a squad with general purpose rifles. So there's my 2 cents on this particular subject. I like the idea of the designated marksman, but man, I just cannot foresee there being enough of a reason, enough of a situation to require, like, us needing a designated marksman inside of our group. The idea of gunplay, meaning using firearms for whatever purpose it is that you decide to use them for, the idea of gunplay is a fun concept, and we love talking about it. That's one of the things that this channel's based around, because it's fun. I love dealing with these things, but if things ever really went bad to the point to where we had to not only self-sustain ourselves, but defend ourselves from those around us, then there's going to be way more important things than just gunplay. Like, learn how to gather or make your own food, learn how to deal with water situations like filter water or even gather water in your particular area. Learn mechanics, learn medical, learn XYZ skill here. That's probably going to be far more important in a context, especially in a civilian context. If we decide to ourselves, hey, we're going to go out and learn these skills, and they go beyond just the realms of using a firearm for whatever purpose, then you can translate those skills to real-world applications. Like, I'm pretty gosh darn good at growing a variety of foods here in Florida. It's just what I do. And that translates beyond just, like, bad times. Like, I legitimately grow my own food right now, and I have healthy foods. I have dinners. I have really good foods that I know aren't lathered in pesticides or filled with hormones, etc., etc. I'm also a mechanic. You guys have seen me work on several things. As a matter of fact, I got a second mechanic channel that I'm working on right now. Videos coming soon. I'm having a lot of fun with that particular channel. So I have the skills to keep my own vehicles up and running. As a matter of fact, that old Cougar out there, I have basically memorized the entire thing. Turns out old Ford 302s are extraordinarily easy to work on. But long story short, if you gather the skills that would be useful in an SHTF situation, you can apply those to just regular day civilian life. Like if you get good with medical to the point to where you would feel comfortable treating someone who might need treatment, and hey, you just so happen across a car crash and oh no, this guy say lost an arm. Oh, I know how to apply a tourniquet and I got one right here. Let's go save this man's life. There's just a lot of skills that go beyond that SHTF situation. And if you want to learn the designated marksman skills, then by all means, dude, go for it. If you have the eyesight for it and the willpower and the gumption for it, just bear in mind that the situations that you would come across that require a designated marksman are probably going to be extraordinarily low. So thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I was over here like, man, it really smells like oil in here, and then I saw this over here, and I'm like, ah, that explains it. I'm gonna put that back right there. Alright, I'm gonna go make some coffee. I'll see y'all in the next episode.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.